Alright, I want to do something a bit different today. I want to talk about voice actors. Specifically, the voice actors that have portrayed the characters of Final Fantasy VII. Not that complicated. We're going to go through a couple of the main characters in Final Fantasy VII and compare and contrast the different actors that have portrayed them over the years. However, I should say, before I get started, that I'm not going to badmouth any of these actors. This isn't that type of video. There is no one I'm going to talk about that I think did an outright bad job with their portrayal. I just think that some may fit the character better than others. Also, just a quick note, I'm only talking about the English voice actors. Now with that, let's get started by talking about Cloud Strife, who was previously portrayed by Steve Burton, starting out in 2002 with the original Kingdom Hearts, and his final portrayal was in Dissidia Final Fantasy NT in 2018.
I'm looking for someone. Hades promised to help. I tried to exploit the power of darkness, but it backfired.
Then there's Cody Christian, who began playing the character for Final Fantasy VII Remake and continued to do so for First Soldier, Crisis Core Reunion, and Rebirth.
This is a one-time gig. When it's done, we're done.
Now, I've always felt like Steve Burton has had a bad reception when it comes to his version of Cloud, mainly thanks to Burton giving Cloud a very stoic tone whenever he speaks.
In the past, you've always looked after me. You and Denzel and Tifa. You were there whenever I needed you. Well, now, it's my turn.
This leads to Cloud sounding very monotone in some cases. But here's the important thing. Burton only did that because he was told to. I know because somewhat recently Burton started attending conventions, and on a panel, Burton talks about the direction he was given when voicing Cloud. Quote, "I came from a soap opera called General Hospital, and I had no emotion on that show. So I'm trying to do something new, you know, like, hey, give Cloud some personality." I'd be like, I'm not interested. And they're like, oh, that's way too much. Dial it down. Just say, not interested. Not interested. Perfect. Moving on. So the reason Cloud sounds overly stoic during Burton's tenure as the character is because that's what he was told to do. I'll also say that there are times when I feel like Burton's portrayal of the character really works. Specifically, in Advent Children. For those unaware, Cloud is dying in the film thanks to a disease called geostigma. So he does his best during the film to run away from everything and sever all ties with his friends. With that context, Burton's portrayal actually makes sense here. Still doesn't make the film all that good, but that's a discussion for another day. However, that doesn't mean it always works, like in Dissidia. I really don't agree with the game maker's decision to keep Cloud's cool, stoic attitude here, because we're dealing with a Cloud who isn't older, which is where I feel like Burton's portrayal works best. Again, like in Advent Children.
Fighting you would be meaningless. I'm tired of taking part in pointless battles. All I want is to believe in why I fight.
Even in cases where you would think that Cloud is going to have more emotion in his voice, there just isn't.
Terra. Oh yeah. Quistis mentioned that you were close by. Listen, something else came up. You should go track down Lightning in case she needs your help.
I say all that so you have a basic understanding of what Burton brought to the table. Because when Cody Christian took over the role for Final Fantasy VII Remake, this also brought with him a complete reinvention of the voice direction.
Give me a break. I'm not a salesman. I'm a soldier.
Where do I even begin? Even in the tiniest of lines, Christian brings out more emotion as Cloud than Burton was allowed to do in full games. Cloud is sarcastic, he's funny, serious, and even flirtatious.
Beautiful.
I'm not even sure Cloud knew how to flirt in Advent Children. Cody Christian, within a single game, manages to make Cloud perfect in every way. There is a part of me that's super curious about how Burton would have done in the remake. In fact, you can still hear Burton in the first ever gameplay trailer for the remake, which was shown all the way back in 2015.
Look, I don't care about your politics.
The planet, same as us.
Not interested.
But ultimately, I do think recasting was the right call for remake, as Burton was good at playing an older Cloud. But since this was a younger Cloud, it makes sense why they would recast the role. But I think probably the best way to show how Burton would have portrayed a younger Cloud is by looking at Crisis Core. This is where things get interesting. It's very rare that you can compare two different actors' performance in this way. They're saying the exact same lines, and as far as I can tell, are given the exact same direction of making Cloud sound younger.
Well, I'm a country boy too. No, but it's such a backwater name.
Well, I'm a country boy too. No, but it's such a backwater name.
Now, some people think that Crisis Core is Steve Burton's best performance as Cloud. I personally prefer him in Kingdom Hearts 2 and Advent Children, but he still does a great job here.
If only I were soldier. I'm your living legacy.
But personally, again, this is just my opinion, I think Christian does a better job. Ultimately, this comes down to one thing: age. Cody Christian is younger than Burton, so I think he's able to make a younger Cloud sound more natural.
If only I were soldier. I'm your living legacy.
Sephiroth!
So ultimately, I enjoy both actors' portrayal of Cloud. If you asked me which one was my personal favorite though, it'd be Cody Christian as Cloud. Now moving on to Tifa, who was first played by Rachel Lee Cook, but would be replaced by Britt Baron for Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Really? Same problem here. I guess this is our lucky day. It's been a while since I've fought anything but mannequins.
I know we have to think big if we're going to make a difference. But not like this. I feel trapped.
This one is harder to talk about compared to Cloud, mainly because there isn't as big a difference between the two actresses as there was with Cloud's. But that doesn't mean that both actresses aren't worth talking about. On the contrary, both actresses wonderfully portray Tifa. Rachel manages to bring out a genuine compassion that Tifa has for her friends and comrades.
All this time you've been helping us, and then you just up and change sides? Yeah, right. I mean, even if you hadn't helped me out before, I still wouldn't fall for that. We're friends, aren't we?
While Britt Baron manages to show a playful side of Tifa that I'm not sure has been explored like this before.
Not at all. I like it. Maybe Marlene won't be so scared of you next time.
Britt also manages to shine in the emotional scenes where Tifa's trauma is shown in full effect.
Like the bar, our home, and everything else. They took everything from us, again.
I love both voices for Tifa. I have a personal bias for Britt, since I've played almost every game in the remake series, so her voice is the one I associate with Tifa. But Rachel Lee Cook also does justice to the character, and I can't wait to experience more of her performance when I finally play Dissidia. Alright, now on to Aerith, and she's had the most amount of different voices. She's been portrayed by Mandy Moore for Kingdom Hearts, Mina Suvari for Kingdom Hearts 2 and Advent Children, Andrea Bowen for Crisis Core and all other appearances of the character, until Final Fantasy VII Remake, where Brianna White took over the role. Obviously, let's start out with the first voice, Mandy Moore.
He was studying the Heartless. He recorded all of his findings in a very detailed report.
Like Burton, Moore has gotten complaints for her performance. However, I like the voice she has for the character. But my biggest problem is the lack of material. Aerith doesn't have much of a speaking role in Kingdom Hearts, and with that being Moore's only time playing the character, there isn't much to talk about with her performance, unlike with the other actresses, like Mina Suvari.
You came, even though you're about to break. That's a good sign.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm not the biggest fan of Suvari's take on the character. I know most of the actors were hired in Advent Children in order to give the characters a older feel, but I feel like Suvari maybe goes too far, especially in Kingdom Hearts 2.
No matter how far away you are, once you find your light, I'm sure it will lead you back here again.
This might be a hot take, but I would have preferred Mandy Moore continue the role. But neither Moore or Suvari would be brought back for Crisis Core. Instead, Aerith would once again be given a new voice, this time provided by Andrea Bowen.
Hello? Hooray!
Bowen nails this character. She brings an innocence with her voice that I feel like perfectly fits young Aerith.
I was thinking it would be a normal day. But then suddenly, some guy fell out of the sky.
The only problem, like with Moore, is that there isn't enough. While she has a major role in Crisis Core, she mostly plays the character with a young, innocent vibe, which works for her role in the game, but there's a lot to Aerith that nowadays I don't see represented in Crisis Core. That might be another hot take, but Crisis Core only represents the beginning of Aerith's journey. It wouldn't be until Final Fantasy VII Remake, when Brianna White would take over the role, that we would get Aerith at her best with Brianna's performance.
Tifa asked me to. She said, take care of Marlene. The thing is, this place isn't safe now. I'm gonna take you somewhere safer, okay?
Brianna White is Aerith. There is no other way to describe her performance. Everything you'd want to see from Aerith, Brianna delivers, and then some. In particular, she brings something to Aerith that I don't feel like any other version has brought. Her humor. Aerith is really funny in the remake.
A lot, huh? One date ought to do it.
It gives her a personality that hasn't been present in previous versions of the character. I feel every other version of the character before, aside from the remake and the original, have portrayed her as this almost holier-than-thou mother-type figure. But she's more than that, and Brianna White brilliantly portrays this version of Aerith. She has to go through so many emotions as this character, and manages to pull them off perfectly. She even manages to pull off the young Aerith tone perfectly when playing the character for Crisis Core Reunion.
You fell from the sky.
Huh?
Scared me. Hello? That's all I did.
Overall, each actress brought their own interpretation to Aerith, but Brianna White managed to take all the elements that made the previous ones work and make them her own, making her, in my opinion, the definitive voice of Aerith. Now, comparing the two voices of Barret is almost unfair, as Bo Billingsley, who voiced the character in Advent Children and Dirge of Cerberus, was never really given the proper time the character deserved.
You look after Mama. Marlene better be safe, huh?
I still like the voice he gave Barret, and if anything, the only problem I have is that, like earlier examples, there isn't enough to judge it. But the only comparison I can make between Billingsley and Bentley's performance is the tone of their voice. Billingsley gives a louder, more brash tone to Barret.
All right. When I'm through, there won't be a single sucker standing.
Whereas Bentley gives Barret a almost quieter, but definitely deeper tone for the character.
Ain't holding out on me, are you? Stamp scared to bite the hand that fed him? Or is he a loyal little doggy?
Unfortunately, that's all I have to say about Billingsley. Again, there's not enough of him as Barret to go in depth with. So with that, let's talk about John Eric Bentley's version of Barret.
I don't trust you and I don't like you. So if you so much as breathe in a suspicious way, I'll turn that face of yours into a honeycomb.
Many people have brought up how Barret might be the most improved character between the original and the remake, and I have to agree with them. One of the biggest things contributing to that is Bentley's incredible performance.
Listen up! We ain't running and we ain't hiding! Y'all don't know the meaning of suffering, but you will!
I could go on and on about how incredible this performance is, but this is the main thing I'll say. When listening to interviews with Bentley, you can tell he cared about doing this character justice. He actually played the original game back in the day, and really wanted to do the character justice, and he absolutely nailed it. Some of my favorite Barret moments are the quiet ones between him and Marlene, along with some of the other emotional scenes he has.
Marlene! Marlene! No, you can't think like that. Whatever came before it was Shinra that pulled the trigger today. Am I right? Hold on to this anger, okay?
I'll end this section of the video by saying this. Rebirth adapts a lot of Barret's backstory and character development moments from the original. Bentley nails those moments so well that I'm actually not going to show you any of those moments in this video. I highly recommend you watch those moments on your own time, as just talking about his performance doesn't do it justice. You have to see it in order to get it. Overall, Bo Billingsley simply wasn't given enough time to fully develop Barret, but John Eric Bentley has been given that time and has absolutely nailed every moment as the character. There you have it, my thoughts on the FF7 voice actors. I had actually planned on talking about more of the characters and their voices in this video, but we'll save that for down the road. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I've always wanted to do something like this, and I might even do more down the line that aren't Final Fantasy VII related. If you have suggestions, let me know in the comments below. But that's all for me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Later, everyone.